No, no. We can't review that. We have integrity. Standards. No. Sorry, how much? Really? Integrity? It's just a word. Yeah, okay. Sounds great. We can't wait. Thanks. Thanks. Yeah, great. I love you too.
Who was that?
Kevin Feige.
We're usually pretty critical of him, aren't we?
Not anymore.
Jesus Christ.
Hello. And now, a word from our sponsors.
Now that Google is racist corporation, run by Satan, we're here to offer you an alternative that's around to less evil. Google, the very second best search engine in North Macedonia, is now available for international use, so long as you have a really long cable. Google is the best interweb surface for finding stuff. Lost your ship? Google knows. Is your uncle choking on his own vomit again after brewing vodka in his outside toilet and drinking many bottles of it? We are here to tell you what to do. Looking for those pictures of your cousin that you accidentally lost? We've got them. Are your siblings trying for a baby? We're here to recommend a doctor who knows how to form a rudimentary hand from a flipper. Don't know what rudimentary means? Look it up with Google. We have the experience you need. In North Macedonia, we know what's important, such as getting out of North Macedonia. We welcome refugees and our open borders policy has since 7 come to our country in the last 5 years. We think 2 are still here. Google don't do all that woke stuff that the Lord of Darkness tells our glorious overlords to put in our films. In North Macedonia we have real women and real men. In the right light, you can usually tell them apart. We don't track you or sell your data because we don't know how. That's our guarantee. Google, it's probably okay.
Gotta pay the bills. You done?
No, but it's okay.
Rob's wrestling with a cup. A cup is apparently too complicated for an American.
It's a weird lid, man. It doesn't come off easily.
It does come off easily. It was put on by somebody with the IQ of a carrot.
Well, they did a good job.
So did your mother.
This is a terrible opening.
This is this is going to be a terrible show. We got a terrible show for you. Thank you for subscribing and watching. I can't wait.
It really was not as good as I was hoping for.
Where's your laptop? Where are your notes?
I have a notebook. I did take notes.
I didn't make any notes for this one.
I know, I was sitting right next to you.
I have a process. Last time I sat there with my laptop and I worked through it. This time I sat there with a bottle of whiskey and I worked through that.
That's also true.
And it was also still disappointing. We went back to the cage.
Yeah.
I'm not proud of it, but we went back to the cage.
We uncaged the cage.
Nicolas Cage?
He had 2 cage outs. He's trying to play the role straight and he couldn't help himself. He had 2 explosive, uncaged moments where he just had to let rip. So we did another cage.
Yeah. So we did The Color Out of Space from 2019?
2019. But, to be fair, on paper it sounds like a good movie.
Yeah, I mean, I like Lovecraft adaptations, usually.
I've actually never read Lovecraft. But the way you described it, yeah, it sounds interesting. I like sci-fi.
Yeah.
I don't hate Nicolas Cage. I think I actually respect him as an actor. He's done some impressive roles, and I like that he didn't use his family name. You know, he went and did his own thing. I respect that.
Yeah.
So I like Nicolas Cage. But this
Lovecraft wasn't a great writer, but he was
Racist.
he was a thinker, and he created an entire genre of fiction, cosmic horror, and it's interesting to go down that rabbit hole.
Yeah, yeah. He's another insider. He's another guy that had the Masonic handshake and all that kind of stuff. So there's stuff to find in his work. And the Colour Out of Space, I mean, it's a short story. I read the synopsis. I looked into it, and it's a smart story. It's high concept. Yeah. And I like what I like the way the story went.
Where the color is the alien.
Yeah, yeah. He wanted to write something that wasn't the normal tentacle monster or man in a mask or whatever they were doing at the time. He wanted to do something different. Yeah. And I think he came up with a great idea. The idea for a colour that we can't normally perceive, so it just looks completely wrong to us. I like what he did with that.
Which is one of the many flaws of the film, is that they show us the color. Yeah. And it's just like, I don't know, magenta or pinky purple color.
But I see why they did it, because the human eye, we can't actually perceive magenta. We have to see the red and the blue, and our brain mixes it together and convinces us that we're seeing a color. So I get why they did it. And how else could you do it? You can't invent a new color. Yeah, so
I think they just shouldn't have ever shown us the color. We should have seen the color in their reactions to it.
I would have preferred just black, and as if we just can't see it. So we're just seeing emptiness. They could have used like Venta black and painted the objects, so we just aren't able to perceive it. So it's just a blank. I think that would have been more interesting. But this film, it was. It rose to all new levels of mediocrity. it broke the mediocrity mold.
By the end of it, I thought, why did I just watch this?
Like, and the reason we just watched this is because you recommended it. This was his idea.
This was my idea.
Yeah.
I was hoping for something a little better.
I mean, guys, turn off right now. No one will judge you for it. And next week, I'm going to choose.
Oh, this will be good.
Should we just stop there? Should we just finish this god-awful show? So we watched this film. To be fair, it wasn't terrible.
It was watchable.
To be fair, it wasn't actually bad, but I feel like they really didn't meet the standard of the story. The concept in the story was really smart, and I feel like they just didn't meet the standard. I just feel like they let him down.
Well, I think underneath all the bullshit, there is a good story here, even in the film. I think that the real problem lies in a compounding of errors with bad casting, bad editing, bad writing in places.
Yeah, no, it's choppy,
Yeah.
I mean, the editing, I'm a low-level YouTuber. I should not be able to see mistakes in the editing.
Well, I wasn't noticing them because I was also drinking heavily.
Yeah.
Until you pointed it out, and then that was all I could see. It's like
it's all I
every wide shot is just a slow pan forward.
Every single wide shot was at the same rate. They weren't even varying the rate, and it was all zooming in at the same speed. The opening shots, you've got a forest, and it's all done in grey. And okay, that's interesting. Okay, so you're going to use a limited palette, but they didn't. They got rid of that by the fourth cut.
Well, no point in the movie do we see them traverse an environment like the one we're first shown. There's no kudzu covering everything.
I'm pretty sure at least one of those was a Pixabay
stock
archive
video.
shot. Yeah, these were stock films, and that was unfortunately the level it kind of stayed at. It was just that mediocrity. It was just good enough.
Yeah.
And it was good enough to eat some popcorn and watch on a Saturday or Friday night. Not a great movie, have a couple of drinks, but we went in expecting more because it is a Lovecraft story and because it is a
Nick
science
Cage.
fiction. Yeah. Knowing was better.
Yeah.
Although the ending was a little bit of a giveaway, but Knowing was a better movie.
I don't remember which one, but one of the writers, or maybe the director, one of the two, from the movie we did last week, Dark City, worked on Knowing.
Yeah, it was an Alex Proyas movie.
Yeah.
Joe, I was so unimpressed with it, I didn't even look up the director.
No.
We found a few little things.
I don't know who wrote it, produced it, directed it.
I'm guessing Nick Cage.
I do have one. I did notice that at one point when we were watching the credits, and it went by too fast for me to notice or to read the whole thing, but someone who was in charge of editing this movie was literally just named User T38. And it's out there in the credits, in the opening scroll.
Maybe it was artificial intelligence.
That might
Too
explain
much
a few
artificial,
things.
Not enough intelligence.
Yeah.
It was...
Like Google.
Yeah. Oh, well, we'll get to that. But yeah, it was just mediocre where it should have been good, and it almost was. The casting wasn't terrible. You didn't like the casting.
I didn't.
I think the worst casting was Nicolas Cage.
I mean, I didn't like Nick Cage. I didn't like the wife. I didn't particularly like the daughter or the son.
Right.
My favorite character is, and I'm going to get his name wrong because the couple times they say it, they like whispered it. Yeah.
The black guy, yeah.
It's like Cameron Rivers or something like that.
He was the only likable character in it.
Yeah.
But I think that was deliberate. I think it was deliberate. You see the family, they're all arseholes. And they are just arseholes. I think the woman who played his wife didn't have enough to do. She just didn't really have a character. You know, we don't really know her.
Yeah.
Nicolas Cage probably had too much to do. His daughter was just horrible.
Insufferable, yeah.
The son, again, we didn't really flesh him out.
The son wasn't a completely
Yeah.
wasn't a completely dislikable character.
No.
He was just stupid.
His ending was stupid.
Yeah.
He was just a stoner, but he didn't come across as a stoner.
Not really.
I mean, that was his defining characteristic. When we meet him, that's how he is.
I mean, he came off more like just a farmhand.
Yeah. And the little kid was supposed to be creepy, but just wasn't. They couldn't decide if he was going to be creepy or not. And there was a couple of poltergeist shots where he sat in front of a TV and he's just staring, and then he just turns away and says, "Hi, Mum." It's just not creepy at all. It tried to be better films. Poltergeist was one of them. There was a couple of other movies in there it was trying to emulate and just
failed miserably.
Yeah, it just didn't meet the standard.
The most interesting thing about it to me was the inclusion of all the little nods to other Lovecraft works. Like,
right, okay, you picked up a lot of that. I didn't.
During the storm, there's a flash. There's flashes of lightning coming through the window and lighting up the girl's room, and each shot focuses on a different Lovecraftian fiction artifact.
Yeah.
There's a couple of nods to Cthulhu and a couple of other works, but yeah, that was, to me, was the most interesting part, was picking all those things out. The guy, the Cameron Rivers guy, is wearing a Miskatonic University shirt.
Yeah.
And just stuff like that.
Throughout the entire film, no one changes
their clothes. Yeah.
Yeah, this goes on for days, but they're all wearing the exact same thing, which is just odd.
Well, it kind of takes us into the territory of your theory.
Yeah.
As to what happened.
Yeah. Well, going back to the characters and the casting, it was a nice idea, but just not followed through properly. The family is meant to be unpleasant.
Yeah.
You're not supposed to like them because you're supposed to just witness them as they fall apart. So that's fine.
Yeah.
But if you don't give a shit about what happens to these characters, the film doesn't work. You've got to connect to somebody.
Well, that's where this film failed. Was in Lovecraft's works, you're usually following one of the main characters as they go insane. And then with a lot of new Lovecraftian adaptations, what makes those work is you are following the investigator who's unraveling the mystery, and you can actually care about that character.
Well, that was what was meant to be happening here. in the original story, the meteor from space has already crashed years ago, and an investigator is looking into why this land is cursed. Elements of the story are still there. Cameron is an investigator. He's investigating the water. We're never really told why. He just turns up and he's investigating the water. But he's only got 2 or 3 scenes.
Yeah, he doesn't have a lot of scenes,
No.
and they're never clear on who he works for.
No.
At one point, the girl asks him, and he gives a vague answer. We know he's there to study the water.
Yeah.
And later in the film, when he finds the sheriff keeps calling him Warden. So I don't know.
Yeah,
We're never really told who
No.
he is.
No. But I mean, when the first shot is the girl, the daughter, and she's dressed in
Like very cliche
Yeah.
witch gear.
yeah, and she's got her hair dyed slightly purple, strands of purple in it.
She's doing some kind of ritual.
Yeah, yeah, and then she refers to Cameron as being a weird guy, but he's literally the only one who isn't weird. Even the sheriff's department are weird.
Yeah.
Everybody's a little bit off in this, except him. He just comes across as what should be the protagonist. And I think it would have been. I think what you've got is Nicolas Cage probably let his ego out the box and ramped his role up. So he became the focus of the story, where the focus of the story should have been on the investigator. And there's no reason why Nicolas Cage couldn't have been the investigator.
No.
It didn't have to be this dynamic. I think he wanted that role because he wanted to go crazy.
Yeah.
He wanted to be.
He
the
wanted
actor.
to do the Nick Cage thing.
Yeah.
And he does.
He does
multiple
yeah.
times.
Yeah, he does. It's not bad because he is going crazy.
Yeah.
You know, and it does work. And I get why he wanted that role, but his role is the biggest role in the movie, where the real protagonist is Cameron.
Yeah.
And the most interesting, well, not interesting, but certainly the most sympathetic character is this Cameron that we never find out anything about.
Yeah.
And it leaves the whole film feeling disjointed and off balance. We really need to see more of the investigation, where all he does is turn up a couple of times, ask some questions, and the only science he ever does is drop some litmus paper in some water. That's it.
And the color changes on the paper as he's looking at it.
Yeah, and he's got this tent and a truck and all this equipment. How? Where? That just comes out of nowhere. Yeah, none of it quite makes sense.
Not everything has to make sense to make sense.
And he's not supposed to be parked on their land, so why is the meteor even affecting him?
And it's not far from him. I mean, I don't know if it's just another editing mistake or whatever, but in the scene at night where the alien whatever is fucking with him, because you can't see it. It's like causing his vehicle to turn on and off and revving the engine and shit like that. But over his shoulder, about 100 yards through the trees, you can clearly see the smoking of the meteor. So he's fucking right next door to the house.
Yeah, but he was already thrown off the land. This is private land and he's not supposed to be on it, so that makes no sense. And there's another bit with they've got a squatter played by Tommy Chong.
Yeah.
I mean, he's fine for the role because he's just playing Tommy Chong.
Yeah.
And it works perfectly.
Just himself dressed up as like a medieval druid.
yeah. So he's fine. The first time they take him there, it takes quite a while. They go on a hike. The oldest son takes him to go and ask him some questions. And then every scene after that is progressively less.
Yeah.
To the point where it only takes a few seconds to just walk out the house down the path. I mean, he would have just said, he's over there. Because you'd be able to see it. There's his hut.
It's the one that smells like weed.
yeah. Why is he smoking weed? There's no money.
No.
He's got nothing. He's not growing it.
He's not shown. Yeah, he's not shown to be growing it. He doesn't have a car.
No, it just doesn't make any sense. And they've set him up. They've given him some backstory, which is pretty interesting. He's an ex-electrician, so he's got cameras mounted. And I thought, okay, this is going somewhere.
Yeah,
but I was
not
wrong.
really.
No, it didn't do anything. He's probably the most fleshed out character in as much as he has a backstory. We only find out a couple of little details about the others.
Yeah, even Nick Cage, almost the only thing we're ever told about him is that He inherited the land from his father, and he
Yeah.
did a lot of LSD back in the day.
And he owns alpacas for no fucking reason whatsoever. There's no reason or logic to this.
Just to have a creepy scene with I want to say his name's Cameron, where he's milking the alpaca and offers him some fresh alpaca milk.
What is he? He's milking them. He doesn't refer to them as teats. He refers to them as breasts, which is just creepy.
The whole scene is kind of creepy.
Yeah.
And I think
they're
that's
male
what
alpacas.
Yeah.
Yeah, alpacas. They're the animal of the future, he says. So you get the idea that the father, I didn't pick out any of the names of the characters in this, is just
Nathan.
Yeah. Biblical reference. Yeah, I remember it now. It was a lot of whiskey. He's a fucking idiot.
Yeah,
he
is. And he's real goofy.
Yeah. And he's just off. His daughter's running around in this almost sort of warlock costume. And then she just takes that off. She takes off the cape and she's just wearing ordinary clothes and just there's no reference to it.
No.
It's all fine. She's got a Necronomicon, but she bought it from an ordinary bookshop. It's just a paperback.
It's a paperback Necronomicon.
It's just written it on with biro or something on the front. It's low effort. We get a few character traits. We get that he's an idiot and doesn't care about his family. At one point, the kid is sick and he just pours himself a whiskey and has a drink. He's not a nice guy. He doesn't give a shit about anybody else. The mother seems to be the one paying the bills. We see her...
She's stock trading or advising, something like that.
Yeah, she's got customers, and at one point she's bleeding customers, so I'm guessing she's some sort of agent or something. I don't know. We never find out much about her. But she's working up in the attic, which is bizarre because the bedrooms have the same angle, and there's just not enough space for all these things. The attic is pretty huge. Two of them have got bedrooms with the same angles.
Steepled.
So, yeah, the set is off. But not quite to a Kubrick standard where you're supposed to be able to get creeped out by how off it is. It's just wrong.
Yeah.
It just doesn't fit properly. So she's kind of a bit bitchy, but I guess that would make sense because he's such a knob.
Yeah, like if I was stuck in a house with any of those characters, after about a week, I'd be really bitchy too.
Yeah. The kids, I mean, the youngest, we just don't know anything about him. He's just a kid, so you just can't care about him. You just see in Poltergeist, which we should do. They spend at least half an hour before anything happens establishing the characters. So you get to see who they are. You get to care about them. So when it does start kicking off, it's a real story. This isn't. The daughter is she's really unlikable. She's supposed to be into nature and the universe and all this kind of stuff. But then
Wiccan-ish.
But she's happy to eat mechanically recycled meat because it's so dreamy. And it really isn't. And that just feels very off, that scene where she, like her father, just doesn't give a shit. She's just playing. It's a weird game for her to play. I don't see any reason why she'd be like this.
Well, there's no real reason for any of them to be the way they are. And that's, again, one of the problems.
The eldest son, I can see why he's smoking weed. He's living on a farm with some alpacas and a drunk dad.
Sorry, not much for self-reflection.
And his mum's kind of a bitch, but I get why.
And his sister's in the forest invoking demonic rituals.
So these are not likable characters.
Yeah, I mean, I can see how he started smoking weed. He probably went and hung out with the most sane person there, the druid, Tommy Chong.
None of the characters are particularly likable, apart from Cameron, who seems completely normal to a point where we don't really find anything out about him. He's just turns up to be the investigator.
Yeah.
He's a MacGuffin. He just drives the plot along. That's all he really does.
And it's a testament to the actor because you don't see him that much. He's not as big a part of the story as he should be, and yet by the end of the film, you can clearly see a change in character.
Yeah. He does that very well. In a few seconds on, you can see he's a different person. So he's well, I've never seen him in anything else.
No, I have no idea who that guy was.
He's, as normal Cameron going through the film, I wouldn't say he's a good actor because he's just got nothing to work with.
Yeah.
He's just the
They didn't
everyman.
give him enough to act.
But then that final scene where the experience has changed him and you've gone on, but well, you've gone into the future, but why? Has the world changed? Because it doesn't really, he just says that, you know, everything's different now.
He makes
for the world.
he says something about the water. He
Yeah.
says something to the effect of, you know, this dam, because he's standing on top of the dam they were building. And that, I guess that's how you know it's the future. But he says something to the effect of, this water allows X amount of people to drink, but I'll never drink it.
Yeah, and that's pretty much it. But
Yeah.
he looks different and he acts different. You can see he's a different person from the experience, and that's his only real chance to act.
Yeah.
And
He
does it-
smokes now.
Yeah, and he smokes now. Yeah, which is very unusual in a movie.
Yeah, they don't incorporate that a lot.
So Nicolas Cage, that's how you do subtlety.
Of the subtlety of a Kardashian wedding.
Yeah, if you ever happen to watch this show,
Yeah. You know, he bought an octopus. He apparently Nicolas Cage bought an octopus and was studying it so he could learn how to act. An octopus.
I don't know if you're serious or not, but I
what I
can
heard.
believe it.
That's what I heard.
The fact that I don't know if you're serious or not says it all.
Yeah. So this pink glowing meteorite crashes to Earth, big explosion, and it's just sat there.
Yeah.
It's only got about 2 inches into the dirt, and it's just sat there glowing. And it's just nonsense.
At one point, it hatches an insect.
Yeah. And this is exactly everything that Lovecraft was trying to get away from in this story. You actually see into its mind, and it's just tentacle monsters.
Yeah.
it's exactly all of the things that he didn't want. And the idea's been ripped off a couple of times. I mean, there's Steven Spielberg not Steven Spielberg, Stephen King, and they're all the same, has ripped it off. And I remember in Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, and I think this was a nod, a hyper-intelligent shade of the colour blue is working in a project. So it's a good idea. It's a high concept that a colour could be a living creature or alive in just some way that we don't understand.
Yeah.
And I like that. And all they've done with this is, it hatches an insect or something. It's just...
And it by the end of the film, it just becomes a light that will attack you.
Yeah.
Like a tentacle monster made out
Or a
of light.
lightning monster. As much as the creature effect was pretty interesting, just bolts of lightning are coming. And they're not even coming out of the thing.
No, and
It's
it doesn't
disappeared
work
by
like
then.
real lightning.
No.
It's some kind of special lightning that fuses things together.
I mean, was there a point to that where... it fuses the mum and the youngest son into one thing.
And
which
all
is
the alpacas into one thing.
It was much darker. I couldn't see if they were one thing. I
Yeah.
mean, right.
There's just like one big blob with all the alpaca heads
Right.
sticking out of it.
Okay. So, the fuse thing, which was just a rip-off of the thing, badly. At first I thought, is this some sort of comment that the mother and son relationship is off kilter? Because he's sleeping in their bed after the shock, and are they getting too close? Is that what they're trying to say, that these characters? But no, because we never get any inference that that's what's going on.
No.
There's no real hint that there's any depth to any of their relationships. And even at the end, they're all crazy by the end. They've all gone mad.
Yeah.
And Nicolas Cage invites the sheriff in. They ask where his wife. Oh, she's sitting there, and the whole family's sitting there, and there's no one sitting there. He thinks they're all sitting there, but that's not where they were when the meteor hit. They were in bed.
Yeah.
If they'd have had that scene while they were sitting there, but of course they wanted it dramatic, then it would have made sense. Then the moment has started again, and he's seeing it from what it was. But even that was a missed opportunity. It comes down. Well, we find out that she's had we assume a mastectomy.
Yeah, we're never told. We're just...
Yeah.
They've alluded to mastectomy.
Well, she's had something. She's had cancer. She's had something removed, and he makes a comment about. She says she feels less than whole.
Yeah.
And he says he's a leg man anyway. Yeah. So we have to make it up for ourselves.
Yeah.
And
That's it. That's all we're really told.
But he's got other issues with cancer. He says about
His father?
Father or grandfather dying of cancer. And he's going on about the smell from the meteor that no one else seems to be able to pick up on.
And it smells like the cancer ward.
The cancer ward, yeah. But she doesn't pick up on anything. They're all going crazy in slightly different ways. Or not crazy the daughter doesn't go crazy at all until the last minute. And then she just suddenly decides to just cut herself up with a knife for no reason whatsoever.
Well, I think the idea was that the color was infecting them and taking them over.
Okay, I get that, but why? At least in the thing, it's trying to survive. At least in other movies, there's a reason for this, but the color's just making them go crazy. And
well, my theory is that she wasn't able to complete the ritual that she began in the beginning of the film.
Okay.
And that has caused all of this in some sort of cosmic retribution.
But this is a Lovecraft thing, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so you've got theories based on the fact that you've read this, and they make sense. So she didn't finish the ritual, but I haven't read that, and I should still be able to make sense of the film, and it didn't make sense. She's doing this. I mean, there's different ways to look at it, and I think I'm thinking way too hard to try and find something. You could take it that she evoked it, she created it, because she's already got the infection. She's got the purple hair, she's reading the stuff, there's a triangle on the back of her head pointing upwards to her, and it's possible that she brought it into being through this ritual, because she doesn't do any other rituals.
No.
And she's doing something from the paperback version of the Necronomicon.
Yeah.
I mean, at least they made it out of leather in other movies. I've never seen it just a paperback with just Necronomicon written on it.
Yeah, she accidentally killed everybody because of a misprint.
Yeah. So maybe she brought it into being, or maybe it was punishment for not finishing the ritual or something. And the only other thing that made any sense, the eldest brother, is having trouble with time. It's all messed up. He said he kept getting lost, and it felt like forever, but it was only a few seconds. So the only other way I could really interpret it is the meteor comes down, and none of this happened. It was all just made up. And then at the end, when there's a huge explosion, and then we see a big devastated area, and that was actually the meteor impact. And all of this is just a snapshot in time. This was all just imagined, or they were already dead and they were in hell, or something along those lines. But there's just not enough meat.
Because that still leaves the question of the investigator. And he's at ground zero, and he seems to have been affected by it.
Yeah, but people do. I mean, explosions are very unpredictable, and he may have been protected by a piece of the house. But yeah, he wasn't there when the meteor hit in the first place. Yeah. So
well, I mean, to be fair, we don't know that. He's one of the first responders, and he has supposedly been on this land for who knows how long, doing water tests and whatnot.
Yeah, he may have been there. Yeah, I mean, apart from that, I just couldn't find anything in there worth. The characters were erratic. Okay, they're going crazy, but we didn't have enough time at the beginning to establish a baseline.
Well, you didn't have enough time in the beginning to establish any of the characters as someone sympathetic enough to care about as I watch them go crazy.
Yeah. When you first start watching a movie, you're trying to decide who's the main character, who do I connect with. Yeah. And there wasn't that. Nicolas Cage's character is quite unlikable. His wife, quite unlikable. None of the kids are particularly likable. Yeah.
And it's set up to make you think for most of the movie that the daughter, is the main character.
Well, you see her first.
Yeah, you see her first.
Yeah.
She has some of probably the most scenes.
Yeah.
And she at one point seems to understand on some degree what's happening and attempts to correct it by invoking some other insane ritual that should have killed her.
Yeah. I mean, and she's got a romantic connection with Cameron, which is totally unexplored, comes out of nowhere. She dislikes him at first, and then the next time she sees him, she just grabs his hand and pulls him off.
Yeah.
Phrasing?
And then the mother says, he's getting all these signals from you. Well, I wasn't picking that up.
Yeah.
There didn't seem to be any chemistry between the two actors. And then she just bursts out crying.
For no reason.
I didn't get that at all. Because her mum said, you like this guy? Okay. All right. That makes no sense. I mean...
I thought that was kind of strange too when she just starts crying. But why are you crying?
Yeah. My take on it is that the script matured and it just wasn't edited properly. There was bits of previous scenes, bits of other things, and it was just a mess.
Yeah.
It was just disconnected. By the end of the film, the meteor, they've forgotten about the colour, and it's just now just
the light monster.
Chaos. Yeah, it's got a sky beam at the end as well. Although it is slightly sort of curved, but it just ends up being a sky beam movie
that leads to a sky hole.
Yeah.
I'm assuming that's the alien leaving, but then I don't know why it destroys the area when it leaves.
Well, if it left, then why is the water still a problem?
That too.
It doesn't make any sense. It's just disjointed nonsense. And I'm not going to buy into it's alien, we can't understand it, because that's just cheap and lazy writing.
Well, I mean, that was part of Lovecraft's genre of cosmic fiction, was that there are some things that are so alien that we'll never understand them, and that's what's driving the characters mad.
I get it, I get it, but that's not enough in a movie. You've got to have more than just everyone's acting crazy.
Yeah. Or at least you have to have people that I want to watch act crazy.
Yeah.
If you could have hired Nick Cage 6 times to fill all of the roles, then maybe you'd have had something to work with here.
I don't need that in my head. What have you done?
You're welcome.
You keep doing this.
Good luck sleeping tonight.
Do you know what? If he could actually be his own wife, I imagine he would. I imagine he would actually quite like that. That's my take on Nicolas Cage. Someone called it my favourite train wreck.
Fair.
Yeah. But it's just an unsatisfying film. I mean, it's okay as a popcorn flick.
Yeah.
But
you can't take it seriously going into it.
Well, we tried. I mean, God knows we tried.
Fucking tried.
Yeah.
I took a whole notebook of notes. I have barely looked in here. I don't even know what I wrote.
Well, I'll tell you what,
down.
let's go through your notes and see what you've got. And we'll...
Just some minor interesting things that I noticed was... I already said the Miskatonic University shirt. The girl is riding a white horse. Yeah. And so,
okay, so
purity.
Purity, riding a white horse is a drug reference, and everyone else is on drugs. There's a lot of drug references. LSD, she's riding a white horse. But she's the only one who doesn't seem to have any drugs in her system.
Yeah.
So that makes no sense.
But she's already crazy.
Yeah, she's barking mad at the beginning of the film.
Now, something else I noticed is that she's wearing a shirt that says "Don't trust anyone," and the son, right above his computer, for some reason, in like these bold, colorful letters, it says "No flesh shall be spared." So what?
Yeah, and this is at the beginning of the film, so he's not crazy. There's no, that was odd. No flesh shall be spared.
Yeah, there's all the dolls that are strung up in the trees all over the place. There's doll parts strung in the trees.
Because we don't know. At first, we see the daughter, and we see what looks like a swastika made out of legs. But then we see them outside of
Sean's house.
Yeah,
and he's got whole dolls in the trees.
So I'm guessing it was him, but we don't know what they are. So it's just another
weird
Blair Witch
thing.
Piece of nonsense.
Yeah. I've got written here, this is a very Lovecraft movie. He could have written the script. It kind of feels that way.
Yeah.
And then I just have alpacas, question mark.
And then it was like, fuck this. Fucking Packers.
Alpacas? All right, I'm out.
Yeah. I mean, anything but alpacas. If he was farming Nicolas Cages, that would make much more sense. It would have been funnier too.
Yeah, everything in the movie should just be Nick Cage.
Yeah.
Somebody, AI, get on it.
Yeah. He could play every role and be the alpacas. I would still have watched that.
I would actually probably be more interested in that film.
So why did we watch this? So you don't have to.
I don't have an answer for that question. Because we hate ourselves.
It's really, really hard to find good science fiction. And we were hoping it was. It's a high concept, Lovecraft inspired piece of work. Knowing was pretty decent. Not great. I'd give Knowing a 7.
I mean, we could do Knowing. There's some stuff to pick apart in there.
I think we need a little break from the Cage.
Oh, I don't mean immediately next week.
Good.
You gotta space Nick Cage movies out.
Yeah, little goes a long way.
We should create a Cage-o-meter so that when we watch Nick Cage movies.
Yeah. I used to read this blog by these two Hollywood writers, Hollywood hacks. But they were like fairly good quality writers, and they would be hired to polish scripts and get the bullshit out. And they did a couple of episodes of the Hulk, and there was a format where they were allowed 2.5 Hulk outs.
2.5?
2.5, so you could have a small Hulk out where there was no property damage, and you could have 2 major Hulk outs.
Where he breaks things.
Yeah, and that was kind of the impression I got with he caged out. And there was 2 cage outs. I feel like he goes in with a script, and he goes, yeah, I need to cage out one more time. Yeah. It's in the contract.
I'm gonna do it right here. It's in the contract.
Yeah, it's in the contract. I can't not cage out.
It's my whole thing.
Yeah, it's why people go and see. Why people go and see his movies? Do they see his movies?
Do movies air in theaters anymore? Are theaters still a thing?
I don't know. I've been here a long time. They are here.
Yeah, they're here.
There's loads of cinemas here, and they're pretty decent because they're $5. And
You go to
a risk.
What is it, Legend, and for $15 you pay for the diamond package, and you get, it's like a fucking recliner that can go into a bed. They give you a blanket and a pillow. They bring you a meal.
Yeah, for $15.
Yeah.
So that's why movies are still a thing here, but they're terrible. The movies themselves are garbage. I don't remember the last time I went to the cinema. I think it was a Liam Neeson film.
I'm sorry.
Liam Neeson, what a fraud.
It was bad.
Yeah,
it was
exactly.
a date. I took the wife on a date, and I looked at the what there was, and we just picked a film. She picked that one.
Speaking of Liam Neeson train wrecks, fucking Naked Gun. I don't know who thought, let's remake this. Actually, I do know. I want to say it's Seth MacFarlane.
Oh. Okay, well... okay, that's different. That does take... I mean, my initial reaction was that this is going to go one of 2 ways. They'll slavishly remake it, so there's no originality and it's not worth watching. Or they'll completely miss the point and it won't be worth watching. But I can't imagine they're going to get this to work.
Yeah.
Now, I like Seth MacFarlane. Some of his stuff. Ted, that's pretty good.
Ted was decent. I liked bits of Once Upon a Time in the West.
Yeah. But you're waiting for the jokes.
Yeah.
In Naked Gun, you're not. They're thrown at you, and then even when you rewatch it, you're finding background things. You're never waiting for another joke. They're always there in your face. And I don't think Seth MacFarlane's going to be able to carry that.
No.
He's a very different style.
He might be able to make something that's watchable, but you're never going to beat Leslie Nielsen.
No. Well, okay, to play devil's advocate, maybe it's not a terrible choice because Leslie Nielsen was a serious actor, and that's why he worked as a stooge.
Yeah.
It worked. So maybe using Liam Neeson isn't the worst idea.
Yeah, but I'm hoping it's not like what he used him for in Ted, because that's what I'm picturing. I don't know if you remember Neeson's bit in Ted where he's buying the cereal.
Several times.
I did.
Yeah.
I don't know if that was me.
Somebody.
Not me.
I don't have many friends.
But yeah, where he's buying the cereal.
Yeah, the cereal thing, yeah. It was a funny bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he did the same bit in a Ricky Gervais thing, almost the same.
Yeah. And it's like, if that's just all the comedy he does,
Yeah.
that you can't carry an hour and a half movie with that.
I mean, you could, but it would take it takes some interest in writing. I just don't think they're going to be able to do it.
Yeah, I don't see it.
I don't see how they can.
I mean, I would love for one of these fucking people to surprise me and actually make a good movie, because that's the problem, is I have no interest in seeing anything new.
But I mean, Seth MacFarlane, do something new. There's no reason to remake Naked Gun. Just do another police comedy. Something new, like you did with Star Trek.
The Orville, but it just slowly went woke, just like everything else. And I mean, I've had the outset. I've had that argument with a lot of people, probably even you, as to was it woke or was it making satire of wokeness and shit like that. Yeah,
it was both ways. I think it was woke enough to score enough to borrow money. Yeah. The first series I really liked.
Yeah.
The third series I didn't.
No.
I didn't like it.
I didn't like the inclusion of the blonde chick.
Yeah,
yeah, I don't know who the fuck she was.
Girl power.
Yeah.
Yeah, she was a terrible character. Made no sense. I didn't like her at all. I just didn't, and I didn't like the writing. It just didn't make.
It just slowly got worse and worse and worse.
Yeah, and it was just disjointed, and the disappearing sandwich. It just reappeared. Oh, it's back. Okay, why? That should have been a major plot point, and they could have used it to come up with a conclusion. And they didn't. They just suddenly have a mystery weapon, and it just happens to be the ultimate
thing
tool
that they need.
It didn't make any sense. It should have been the sandwich.
And they didn't need. Yes, it's cool to look at. They had some good special effects for a TV show.
Yeah, they did. Yeah, especially in the latest series 3.
Yeah, but they didn't need a war arc.
No,
that's because the entire point was to make, something more akin to TNG, and TNG was never action oriented.
Yeah, no. And then the best episodes of Orville weren't action oriented.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and of course they were effectively just the Borg. It was weak. The last series I didn't like it. If they don't get a fourth, I don't care.
Yeah.
After series 1, I was like, I hope there's a series 2. But
well, it's been a while since season 3, so I haven't heard anything.
No. Well, he's doing other things now, so I don't think it's going to happen.
All right. Well, I guess we should probably give people our final thoughts on The Color Out of Space.
I don't care. I don't care about this film. I don't want to do any more Nicolas Cage films.
He's lying. He does.
I don't. No more Nicolas Cage.
Until like 2 or 3 weeks from now when we do another Nicolas Cage film.
No. The problem is finding movies. The problem is finding a film that's worth watching that we both... Because we don't have a lot of time. I don't have time to sit around and watch movies. I maybe 1 or 2 a week if I'm very lucky. So it's got to be a good film. It's got to be worth watching. And this one, I thought, with Lovecraft...
I wasn't expecting it to be, high art, but I was expecting it to be something that I could watch and then have an interesting discussion about. And there's just not enough going on to even talk about it.
No, there isn't.
And you don't care about any of the characters that I'm like, oh yeah, I liked this or that. You don't. I didn't really like any of it.
I mean, Poltergeist, it really is the pinnacle of horror movies. It works so well. You've got nothing for half an hour. You establish the world they live in. You establish the characters. They're not all particularly likable. They're very flawed people, but they're human. Yeah. And he humanizes all of the characters. So when it all starts kicking off, you're invested, and then the whole story works. And for the first half hour, it's well enough made that you're not bothered by the fact that there's no ghosts or monsters in it. It just works as a family drama. It's funny, it's amusing.
And you don't have that here.
No, not even slightly. And there needed to be much more time to establish who these characters are. Otherwise, them going crazy means nothing, because we don't know what they're supposed to be like.
I think that's part of why they made them so fucking goofy, is so that when they do transition into madness, it's a more jarring transition, but it just comes off as being nonsensical.
I don't agree. It just, everything was lazy. They were using stock footage. I'm pretty sure they were stock footage. They were using bad edits. The lighting was off. The cinematography was off.
The audio was fucking terrible.
Yeah. It was very hard to follow the dialogue. It was clunky. Cameron, who should have been
The main character.
Yeah, we should have been watching his journey. Was barely in it. I think there was major rewrites to the script. Knowing what Hollywood is like, I imagine it was Nicolas Cage's ego.
Yeah, I hope that character's name was Cameron. I don't know, because the audio is so fucking bad.
Yeah.
And they like whisper his name once or twice throughout the fucking film, and that's it.
The special effects were, well, the
special effects were okay.
The lightning effects were okay.
The lightning effects were cool.
Yeah. But the meteor just looked like a potato.
Yeah.
It was just sitting on the ground. It's supposed to have come in hot.
And for some reason, at one point, it just decides to move to the well.
Yeah.
There's no reason for it. There's no explanation for it. It just moves.
It's in the well now.
12 feet. It's in the well now.
But there's a hole. It digs itself down.
And then over.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, and then the little kid is staring at the well, listening to the voices or something, but
he's got friends now that nobody else can see. Yeah. He just stands there laughing like a psychopath.
Poltergeist.
Yeah.
It's ripped off a lot of better movies. I just feel like it was a lazy effort. It was a Nicolas Cage movie.
It was a good idea and very, very poor execution.
Yeah, very poor execution. Very lazy, choppy. Was it a straight to DVD release, or was it?
I don't actually know. I'd imagine so. I don't remember ever seeing any theater advertising for it.
What does it score on the IMDb?
I didn't look any of that shit up for this.
I would guess 5 to 6.
It feels like a 5 or a 6.
Yeah, I would probably give it that. I mean, I'm not recommending it. If you like Nicolas Cage, and you would have to, even though he looks like my mum in this.
Or if you're just looking for, a run through something vaguely Lovecraftian.
Yeah, there's some horror elements. There's some science fiction elements. It's not terrible, but it's not worth breaking down.
There's a lot of flashing pretty colors, so, hallucinogenics.
Well, you drink Sting, it's purple. I mean, you like that.
Yeah.
But if you don't like purple...
It's red.
Not now.
What? That's not Sting.
Is it not?
No, the can next to it is Sting.
Oh, I know that, but I just assumed.
Yeah, they can't see any of this.
No.
There's drinks sitting over here on a table.
No one's got this far in. No one tunes in to watch the movie analysis where they start by saying, I don't give a shit about this film. No one is still watching this.
If you're still here, thank you.
Yeah, I judge you. Thank you.
Calm down, JJ.
Yeah, what terrible film will we watch next week? Plan 9 from Outer Space.
Let's do The Rise of Skywalker.
Rise of Skywalker.
All right. You're right. Let's do something a little better, like Star Trek Beyond.
See what I've got to work with.
Jumanji 2?
Stop it. Get help.
2016 Ghostbusters.
I actually did a video on how 2016 Ghostbusters could have been good.
I mean, it could have, with the right writing.
Yeah. I don't even think an all-women team was the issue. Absolutely.
It never is. It's never really the fact that it's all women. It's that the writing is fucking trash every time.
No, everything was trash. It looks horrible. You can't take a classic film like Ghostbusters and then make a cheap, shitty copy of it and expect people to watch it just because you want them to.
Yeah. They
needed to up their game. I did a video, a Daisy video, about how it could have been good. change the roles around and turn it into something of its own by just a few little shifts, and it would have worked. The women weren't the problem. In fact, it's an interesting idea sometimes. You've got to change something.
Yeah.
It was like the last Hangover film. Should have probably been their girlfriends instead. You know, that would have worked because the format is just tired by then. But it never works because it's always shitty writing. It's always garbage. That's why I avoid that crap. But no, this wasn't woke. Not really. And there was a couple of little hints of it, but nothing major. It was okay. But it just wasn't good.
Yeah.
It wasn't great. It wasn't good. It was okay. And honestly, it's a bit of a waste of time doing an analysis or even a review of a movie like this, because it's just, there's no meat there to find. It's a wet Friday afternoon film. It wasn't a good film.
No. So yeah, out of 10, I'd give it a 5.5.
Yeah, I'd give it 5.5. Yeah.
It's just barely better than meh.
Yeah. But you can't go in expecting there to be anything. It was just made, it's a product. It's like a Japanese motorcycle. You know, you get a European motorcycle, like an Italian or an English motorcycle, and there's passion. You know, you can feel that this has been built by someone that really understands motorbikes. But then the Japanese ones, they're perfectly good. There's nothing wrong with them, but they're building products. It's literally something to sell. And that's what this movie was. It was just something to watch. There was no genius to it, there was no art to it, there was nothing. It was just good enough to fill an hour and a half so that we can sell it. There was nothing artistic about this film, which is a shame. I feel like they sold the story.
A lot of wasted potential.
Yeah, they sold out the story. Great concept. An alien is a colour. I like it. But it needed a meeting of smart writers. How are we going to do this? And that was missing. It
also didn't have, even if it had a team of smart writers behind it, it didn't have the technical ability. The editing is bad, the sound mixing is bad, the lighting is bad, everybody on set should have been fired.
Yeah. Everybody, acting-wise, they all did fine. They didn't have anything to work with.
Yeah, they were given... I bet you the character runs on those fucking characters were like a page. Just 3 lines written on it.
Yeah. Didn't understand the character motivations. Didn't care about the characters. Didn't care about the story. By the end of it, I just wanted it to stop.
Yeah.
We stopped it a couple of times and just stocked up with snacks, or he went for a cigarette. And don't do that with a good movie. You want to get back to it. When
it was finally over, like my real only thought about the characters was, thank God they're all dead now. Like, I don't have to keep watching this.
Yeah. Well, even the end where Cameron or whatever, he's clawing his way out, that just reminded me of the really old zombie film, like one of the first Night of the Living Dead, where the black guy comes
rising
out.
from the...
Well, he fights his way out and he's clawing out, and then someone assumes he's a zombie and shoots him, and it's just this tragic ending. It even reminded me of that, but it didn't even have that twist, that little shock at the end. It just went flat. Oh, the water's still dangerous for some reason. Even though the meteorite went home, it packed its bags. And it clicked its ticket.
It killed everybody it came to kill, and now it's going back to wherever it fucked off from.
Yeah. So no, it was a disjointed film. It was a mess. It was a TV movie.
Yeah.
It was a TV budget film.
Lifetime sci-fi horror movie.
Yeah. It sold everybody out, sold the audience out, the cast, the crew. It was half-assed. It was just low effort.
Yeah. And if you've never heard of it before now, that's probably why.
Yeah. Well, it didn't do very well. Critics panned it. There's no art to find in it. Nobody believed in it. Nobody went out to make this movie. There was no passion involved. Nobody went out with this spec script and tried selling it for 6 years. It was just something to throw together to produce.
Yeah. So, did you make a box?
I didn't because we drank loads of whiskey. That's all I ever do. I have boxes, but there's nothing in them. we're gonna have like a box, and so we'll dig in and we'll pick a movie for next week, and then we can actually spend a whole week
preparing,
preparing, thinking about
lifting.
Yeah. We should do a montage next time. No, don't know what we're gonna do next time. Not The Rise of Skywalker. Or
So
The Fall of
difficult.
Skywalker. Not Dune.
Beethoven.
Not interested. Beethoven.
Yeah.
The dog thing.
Yeah.
I haven't seen that.
It's not actually very good. It's just a dog doing dog things.
Canine.
Hey, I like Jim Belushi.
So did I.
Yeah. I liked the second K9 movie, and it's terrible.
There was a second one.
Yeah, there's K9.
Is it still Jim Belushi?
K911, yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh my God, that guy would just do anything for money.
Have you never seen Chuck Norris's ripoff of K9?
No.
Oh my God.
Does he play the dog?
I can't think of the name of it now. I'll send you a link to it later.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's a Chuck Norris ripoff of K9 where it's just him and a dog, and it's fucking terrible. I highly recommend this movie.
You made that up.
No, yeah, that's a real thing.
No. Really?
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
Oh man, I bet you I could just type in Chuck Norris dog movie.
Chuck Norris dog. Whoa, shit.
Don't type in Chuck Norris dog movie. Let's see. That's disgusting.
It's not disgusting. It's biology.
Vaguely disgusting.
It's biology.
Chuck Norris dog cop movie.
This is why you tune in.
Yeah.
Yeah, you wouldn't want to miss this.
Top dog.
Top dog.
Oh yeah, that's a real thing.
Go on the IMDb. I want to see the rating. Oh, there's the rating. Is it 4.2?
Yeah, 4.2 out of 10.
While you're on there, let's
Rotten Tomatoes, 0%.
0. Yeah, you can't trust them. Let's see what this is. Color Out of Space. What's the rating? I reckon 5.6.
All right. The color out
I did notice the color was spelled incorrectly.
of space 2019. And it is a 6.2. And lo and behold, the genius critics at Rotten Tomatoes gave it an 86% fresh rating.
Wow.
Yeah, wow.
So there you go. If you want a fresh rating from Rotten Tomatoes, you just basically shit all over a script.
Yeah, the
all you need to
absolute
do.
worst movie that you can make.
Yeah.
Take something that people love and then just shit all over it for an hour and a half.
I mean, there's no girl power.
Yeah.
That's usually a killer. I mean, you've got black guy, check.
That's
Mixed
pretty
race
much it.
relationship, check.
Destruction
girl
of the nuclear family?
Yeah, check. But there's no girl power.
I guess the daughter is the girl power insofar as you have that.
She doesn't kick anybody's ass.
That's true. She never overpowers a single person.
No. Oh, except herself.
I was literally about to say that. Like, she cuts into her fucking... She slices her wrist, and she does it the legit way. Like, she should be dead. She should have bled out. She opens an artery.
If she'd done that at the beginning, look at all the problems we would have saved. Those poor alpacas.
Yes. The alpacas are the most sympathetic thing in the film. They didn't ask for any of this.
No.
They didn't ask to be sexually assaulted by Nick Cage every day. They...
So that's what this film was all about.
Yeah. He just wanted to touch some alpacas.
Well, who doesn't?
Ah,
They're delightfully
Does that
fluffy.
make me weird?
No. Everything makes you weird. The fact that you're weird makes you weird.
Well, I am fucking melting. It is hot as shit in here. So I am officially calling an end to Down to
I mean,
the
we've
Edge.
just talked shit about it for an hour or so. I don't know.
Yeah.
There's nothing else to say. Go away. Just go away. Go and watch a proper movie.
You sound
go and
like-
watch a proper channel.
You sound like the drinker. Go away.
No, I didn't rip this off at all. This is my own actual opinion. No one paid me to say it. We're not making anything from this. So, I write novels. Like myself.
What?
I write novels.
Does anybody read them?
No. Thanks. It was a critical drinker thing.
No, okay. Well, you can just cut it there at the end of I write novels, and you just go to black.
No, I want everyone to see what you're like. I noticed we haven't got any new subscribers. That's your fault.
If they're not here to watch it, how do they know that it's their fault?
Tell your friends.
Who?
Yeah, our viewers don't have any friends.
I don't know why the battery. I'll just keep waiting for the battery to die. I've been waiting for it for like 10 minutes. And
Like and subscribe. And next week we'll pick a movie. I don't know, maybe it's more fun to shit on a movie. Maybe we should pick a bad movie.
unintentionally. Let's do Top Dog.
You know what? Let's do Top Dog. Let's do Top Dog. Let's see what the fuck Chuck Norris was thinking. Because
I'm laughing just thinking about it.
I can't imagine he would actually share screen time with something cute. Because he's a massive dick.
Yeah.
Interestingly, that blog, I used to read, these Hollywood writers, they were hired when he was doing that sort of, Walker, Texas Ranger thing?
Yeah.
Yeah, and he was getting too big for his boots. He was becoming a bit of a dick. So they wrote an episode where he wasn't in it. Because he made this comment, and one of the characters had cancer. He said, I don't want cancer in my show. It makes people look weak. He did. So they had to write a script where he wasn't in it except at the last couple of minutes. And they gave it to him. And he refused to make the episode, and he calmed right down. He realised they were slowly writing him out. And that's the sort of shit they used to do. Apparently, he's a massive ego. Shockingly.
Yeah. It happens to all those guys. Him, Steven Seagal.
No, he's far worse.
Oh, Steven Seagal is horrendous.
Yeah. We've tried to end this for 20 minutes.
We just keep talking.
We just keep talking.
All right.
It's your fault for listening.
I mean, at some point, the video is just going to end.
Goodbye. Thank you. Thanks for watching. Like and subscribe and put comments at the bottom. Tell us what movie you'd like us to
Or how much you hate
to
us.
shit on.
You know, anything.
I don't need people to tell me how much they hate me. I'm
No
already married.
publicity is bad publicity, so feel free to leave a comment. Just
I think Google would
shitting
probably disagree.
all over this.
Bud Light.
Oh.
You know.
Yeah. Okay, fair enough.
Fuck this.
All right, I'm done.